Quick shout out to the two Uber comrades supporting this channel, my content on Patreon partner. Thank you, Rosa, and Independent Left News. Definitely check out Independent Left News. They're a great resource. So this is another story I came across as I was scrolling through Twitter a little bit ago, and it was about how the Biden administration wants to drastically expand offshore oil drilling, even though there is a massive amount of scientific evidence saying that climate change is an existential crisis, maybe transitioning to a Green New Deal, decarbonizing, probably the way to go if we want to have a inhabitable planet to live on. Kind of important, but just not enough evidence there for the Biden administration to take that seriously. And again, frankly, not very surprising. The Biden administration has basically been underwhelming in every way possible. That more or less should be expected, frankly. So this is from Walker Bragman at the Daily Poster. I'll link down below. President Joe Biden has been touring climate-ravaged areas of America, warning that climate change is a code red. So again, he's saying, "Oh, it's this big thing. It's a code red, but we still need to expand offshore oil drilling. We don't actually need a Green New Deal, but it is a code red." So, see the contradictions there. The Biden administration talk about how serious a problem climate change is, but they literally do nothing of substance to combat it. So as opposed to, Republicans, Trump particular, they would just deny climate change being an issue, as opposed to Democrats, they will talk about how it's an issue, but then actually do nothing to, treat it like the serious issue that it is. So that's kind of the difference here, right? And yet his admin has continued to boost fossil fuel project and is now preparing to vastly expand offshore oil drilling. Jesus. And how disastrous that is when the oil spills happen, and they always do. Deepwater Horizon, look at a couple months ago in that Gulf of Mexico, where that oil rig exploded. It looked like literally the gates of hell were opening up in the ocean at that point. White House argues that a court order it opposes and is appealing requires federal officials to lease more than 78 million acres of the Gulf of Mexico for fossil fuel exploration. Environmental groups, however, assert that the federal law gives the admin broad discretion over whether or not to hold such sales. But I mean, they don't support this, so of course they're going to sell that. In fact, Biden officials have instead used that power to officially declare that the warnings in the recent ICPC report does not present sufficient cause to evaluate the drilling plan. And again, you look at that report, it's actually showing that the issues of climate change are even further advanced than they thought they were before, and just like this really alarming, jarring warning. But from the Biden administration, it's not sufficient cause to evaluate the drilling. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Biden last week sounded the climate alarm during a tour of the East Coast locale slammed by Hurricane Ida. His own admin was undercutting the message moving forward at the fossil fuel lease sale in Gulf of Mexico that began under Donald Trump's presidency. Announcement of the lease of sale for drilling arrived in the heels of a sobering new report from the ICPC, which warned of catastrophic weather-related consequences should the world's power not radically decarbonize. And again, we've already been seeing these catastrophic weather-related catastrophes happen, whether it's these, record flooding events, wildfires, hurricanes lasting longer, being more intense, ocean levels rising. All of these things are still happening. They're going to continue to get worse, especially if we don't take this, radical action. And, the Biden administration is more or less just, sitting on their hands at this point, as they, have been. At a press conference this week, Biden once again acknowledged the cost of climate change, calling for America to get real. So how is he getting real if his administration wants to support the lease of 78 million acres in the Gulf of Mexico? I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Back in January, a week after taking office, Biden issued an executive order pausing new oil and gas lease on public land or in offshore waters pending completion of comprehensive review and consideration of federal oil and gas permitting. So what happened, right? So not long after the order, admin announced it was canceling the planned lease before the bidding process was set to begin. The admin, let's see. So then they were sued. So in June, a Trump-appointed federal judge in Louisiana, Terry Doughty, granted the 13 states a nationwide preliminary injunction against Biden's moratorium directing the leasing program to resume. So the judge was just talking about the money of not actually addressing the issue of climate. Of course, he's not. I mean, he's a Trump appointee. Millions and possibly billions of dollars are at stake. Jesus Christ. Following the ruling, Republican states involved in the lawsuit filed a motion to hold the Interior Department in contempt for refusing to follow the order. Motion sought to compel the department to hold the Gulf of Mexico lease. So they said they're appealing. Nevertheless, days after the filing of the brief, White House posted a new record decision online saying it would be moving forward. So they just stopped fighting it, basically. I mean, Jesus Christ. The ICPC change released a new report detailing observations of a rapidly changing climate. But this report does not present sufficient evidence to supplement the environmental impact statement. Really? I mean, I urge you to take a look at that ICPC report. It was, I mean, obviously, we're already in very, very alarming, state as far as climate change goes, especially for the most vulnerable and marginalized, whether it's in the US or abroad, with regards to the impacts of climate change. Those are the groups, the people, the communities who will always feel the brunt of it the most. And this report basically said, no, it's going to keep getting even worse than previous scientific reports thought. But Biden administration, that's not sufficient. That's not sufficient. Jesus Christ, man. Let's see. Again, this isn't surprising at all. The Biden administration, when they do anything, it's the bare minimum. So they acted like for a while, well, we're going to try to oppose the lease of this, 78 million, this lease of 78 million acres for offshore oil drilling off the coast of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico. But you're putting up some opposition. We're just going to drop it and say the ICPC report doesn't, really change or impact the environmental, statement that we had put out before about this. So again, not really just surprising, but still hugely disastrous, because again, the one thing we don't need to be doing right now is drilling for more oil or gas. We need to rapidly transition to a eco-socialist Green New Deal that puts the needs of the planet, the working class, the most vulnerable, marginalized first. And this is going to do the exact opposite. It's going to continue, leading to more oil spills, more emissions being released, more CO2, etc. So again, this not surprising, but still deeply disturbing to see this. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe for more content. All part of the people. Peace. Much love.